Welcome to another episode of the Crusaders Talk. If this is your first time with us, I would hereby like to personally invite you to drag out your old oil paints and brushes and paint along as we go to some of nature's masterpieces. Today is a beautiful day, so tell you what let's do. Let's start with some Prussian blue and a little bit of ammonizes.
I drew a bush. See? It's in the corner.
Well, how about we get crazy today and we load the brush with some alizarin crimson and just the littlest, I repeat, just the littlest bit of soft and magnifico.
I set my brush on fire. Is that okay?
This horse I painted looks dead. Why is it green? What is brown?
Oh, and I'm Shade. This is a Banter intro. So what have you guys been doing this week?
Well,
Working
absolutely nothing. Working my butt off. I wish. I've been pretty busy with the radio, doing a few things there.
I made a geology film noir in one shot, so it's kind of crappy, but it still got me an A.
The geology film noir in one shot, is that you took a photo of a rock?
No, I used photos of rocks. It followed the story of the Detective Caldera, who lives in Tectonic City, where the big Shakers and Quakers live. People move apart, move closer, and some just blow their tops. And a little girl named Ruby walked in asking the detective to find her sister Sapphire. And she was taken by the Celtic Syndicate and a bunch of other geology rock funds.
Oh, that sounds great. Gemstone names. Oh, that's actually...
And remember, you can't take anyone for granted. They might not all be a nice guy, and that's GNEISS.
Well, that beats my week. Although
that's so interesting, I wasn't even paying attention.
Wow, that's really not nice, Sarv.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I tried. Well, crying is what I do.
Well, over
What
here,
I do best.
the weather ponies have finally managed to wrap up winter, and spring was today.
Right.
I sipped a mojito at the beach and drew Rainbow Dash. So
I had snow and I was cold, so meh.
I'll give it time. Spring will arrive over there as well soon.
I live in Colorado. There's no such thing as spring. It's just chaotic time of year.
Oh, it just skips to summer?
Yeah, first there's winter, and then there's whatever the hell weather wants, and then there's summer.
Oh.
That sounds way better than what Canada has right now. Because, we have winter, and then it's like, oh, spring, no, winter, no, blizzard, no, maybe it's spring, no, blizzard.
That's what it's like here, man. It was like 60 one day, -7 the next day, then 50 the next day after that, and now it's like 10.
Well, Mother Nature's going through menopause up here, so I don't know.
well, in Canada there is a logical explanation for this. It's the ice hockey. It's messing everything up.
It's messing up the curvature of the earth. It's all that Canadian and hockey and the weight of our maple syrup.
Yeah, and let's not forget the poutine. We must manage to put that one in there somehow. Oh, so people, we've actually got a few questions this time, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We definitely did for once.
So let's distribute this among the group. So I don't know how that goes.
Well, it's not really quite, because one of the questions is a really long one. One of them is directed at me, and one of them asks what type of shoes we wear. So,
let's start with that. That sounds.
I think Amen Isis should answer the one directed at me. No, just kidding. So this week, rather than do our big guest thing or something really long and complicated and useless, we're gonna kind of go back to what we used to do when we were MLPC Radio. We did the advice column. That's all we really did, but we kind of ran out of questions. So, kind of sticking to the same theme of that, we're just going back and we're just gonna do like a once a month thing or something like that. If we get the questions, then we're gonna take an episode just to kind of answer what we have. So we kind of have a few this week.
And you can even just, while Ammonitis go get some apple pie, you could even just help us out. Yeah, welcome back. guys can even just send in
okay, that fixed it.
a letter to tell us.
Getting a ton of.
Oh, you guys should talk about suitcases and cars, and then we'll say no, we won't. But you could do that. If you give us a nice topic, we'll talk about it. You know.
Can at least give you credit for trying.
Yeah. So what was the question? What kind of shoes do we
Well,
wear?
yeah. One of the questions asked, what type of shoes do I wear? And one of the chat groups I'm in, I jokingly asked, well, you guys should ask us anything. You can even ask what type of shoes we wear. So somebody asked, what type of shoes do you wear? That's not really what I had in mind, but you know what, it works.
It reeks of a lack of inspiration, I have to say. I'm nice. If you go first, talk about your shoes. Or not?
Amonisis is AWOL. Again.
Getting five.
Right. I wear Nike. I'm on my feet all the time.
Well, your connection is really messing things up. I think up a perfect radio show episode.
I love this. This is amazing.
Better quality.
Yeah, I didn't catch any of that, okay. That was great.
Woohoo!
Quality radio moment. I think it's
just doing so well.
I think it's that's your cue for you to start.
Okay. Well, normally I just wear like cheap Walmart stuff, but today, in fact, I just got myself a pair of Converse. If you guys don't know what that is, those are like the hipster punk rock shoes, and they're pretty damn awesome, actually.
They're just sneakers. But how convenient that you happen to get this question right when you got new shoes.
Yeah! What irony.
That's not suspicious at all.
Not at all! What the hell is Amon doing?
Well, while he's fixing up the things, I guess I should talk about my shoes. If my mom is listening to this show, she'll be the first to...
Whoa, your mother listens into the show?
Yeah, well, I couldn't stop her. It's all to me to tell her what she can and cannot listen to. She used the internet. She knows how technology works now.
That's scary.
So I couldn't stop her. Yeah, my shoes. About that, they're if I wiggle my toes, they wiggle out of the shoes. I can actually. It's full of holes. There's not much left of my shoes. So yeah, my mom keeps whining and nagging at me to get new shoes, and I tell her, when the time is right, when I've used these ones up, you gotta think about the environment, man. You gotta, recycle and all that.
Words of wisdom from a vegetarian. You tree hugging hippie, you.
Oh man, actually, funny story. I usually, when I was young, I advertised that I could communicate with plants.
Oh God, why am I not actually even surprised?
Yeah, but people really misinterpreted that. I'm thinking about a higher level of communication, one not necessarily with words, but merely
a higher level of communication, man.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like this. If you're looking at a plant and you're existing in the same space, it's adapting its growth to accommodate you. So it's actually, you're having some sort of communication going. That's the highest level of communication that you can have with a plant. So merely acknowledging its growth pattern and such and giving it water. And then it grows. That's communication, man. You gotta learn to talk with the planet.
Mother Earth is like a living person, man. Gotta nurture it. Gotta experience
it's like a lollipop. And if you lick it just right, it'll give you sugar.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You gotta love the Earth.
Ammonice's computer is exploding and all that. It's okay. We can patch the time.
I'm not worried about it. Not worried about it.
What are you sipping?
Well, I was going to get a can of Coke, but I kind of forgot. So it's too late now. I will drink after.
Oh, this liquid stuff, this lubrication, it's wonderful. Oh. Mm.
Is it like liquid ecstasy? Because I don't want to hear that you're doing another drug on my show. This is the third time, Shade. Last time you were drunk.
My
the time
drug
before that
now
you were
is my
stoned,
sober mind. Sobriety, man, it's a new hipster drug.
Who's sober these days? Not me.
I'm actually drinking sencha, so yeah.
Well, this sounds like
not very. What was that?
Sounds a lot like placenta. So, yeah.
It's steamed Japanese green tea.
Still sounds like a sexual innuendo. All those Japanese people
Everything does when you're in one of these moods, Jar.
What is these moods? Should I be a little worried?
You're in one of those moods.
Wake up to a hippie aphrodisiac dance. Oh my hama, oh my hama.
Does that actually work? Does that get you riled up? When my mom gets to this
I don't know. I don't judge. It's one of those vegetarian things.
She's gonna just mess up her dishwashing. Just listening to this spot. I'm gonna have to warn her. Actually, you should warn everybody. Put a disclaimer on this.
Warn the world.
Like bleeding raindrops with his clock pick reading.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Kind of give him a heck for that one. Yeah.
Stuff he's into.
Had to advertise everywhere that we were PG-13 only, because the one email I got back from that one site that said that we were too inappropriate to be on their forum and never post anything. Not allowed. Yeah, so I had to post everywhere. Question daily on that. They knew.
Coming.
Like, yeah, we can't post your content here. It's not safe for work, and it conflicts with our site's rules and stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, the name holds a plethora of implications. And then he goes and does this. Well,
chicken.
PG-13. Anyways, let's move on to the next question.
Oh, really?
That is just coincidentally removed.
Stop padding for time? It's just like something that Emma Nices would have like a big opinion on, I think.
This next one, not really. I'm gonna go like this is our first question, and ask, so are you I'm gonna assume a psychology major or something? Sorry if you seem to be good at it. Well, no. I was considering going into social work or things like that, but that is, I would need like 2 bachelors, and it's a minimum wage job and stuff like that, and it's just a lot of stuff, a lot of money, a lot of stress for something that it's not going to be doing a lot. Basically, I'm just someone that, through my own personal experiences and stuff like that, that I've kind of learned how to deal with it. I've been through therapy, counseling myself, and I do deal with depression pretty much regularly, and I know how to deal with it, and it's just, there's a certain, I want to say, passion that I've gotten from the amount of help that I've seen for little to no reason from complete strangers when I was in a fairly dark spot. A lot of people were just there, and it was strange to me at the time, but I understand why, and when I came back from that kind of dark place and had help, I kind of looked at everything and I realized that not everyone really gets that chance to have someone to talk to them in the way that I had. Quite a few people, actually. So, since then, for the last 2 years, I think, I've advocated myself in many, many places and helped as many people as I can. And I shouldn't say help, because that's assuming that I've actually done anything, which I can't say if I've done anything one way or another. I can't really say if I've... But I think the fact that one tries, I think, is often good enough. There's a quote, I think it was Voltaire, every man is guilty of all the good he did not do, or at least try to do. So, consider try, and I think that's often more than enough.
He also said some other things, but we can't go in there. This is a PG-13 show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I hear what you're saying, but if I may, I don't want to,
no, of course, by all means.
Step on your hoops. But I think part of what it is if you regularly exercise considering what other people are experiencing, you quickly get that sort of give people that vibe that it must be some sort of counseling type. You actually listen to another person when they're talking, and not just I know people who have lots of people in their lives, but when it comes down to it, they think that they can only really rely on themselves. And to an extent, this might be true, but people are not as alone as they think they are. It's not, the trap that people fall into is believing that nobody else could possibly understand what they're going through. And when you analyze that with a modicum of objectivity, you quickly realize what nonsense it is, because people's experiences might be filtered differently, but they are still human experiences.
Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah. I understand that completely.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people. I mean, I'm definitely not the only one. In my travels across the internet, I've definitely met tons of people who've done the same thing, if not really better.
And
I know Eamon Isis is definitely one of them, and that's when I first started the advice column. He was one of the first ones I went to because I know he advocated himself as well. So me and him are kind of on the same level. And
great apple pie.
Shade's just here to talk. I'm just kidding. I think the reason I originally brought Shade along is just because we had talked a few times over Skype and stuff like that, not a voice thing. But he was just one of the most positive people I've ever met, and I thought, you know what, that kind of attitude could be really good on the show. Let's bring him on as a guest. I mean, he's an artist, why not? We can have guests. And I was
let's bring him on down.
Incredibly surprised when he came up, just how much of an input he had on really everything, and how valuable his advice and really the personality he gives the show. You make the show.
You thought I was just a clueless dimwit.
Well, not quite like that, but
you were wrong, buddy.
Exactly.
So, Ammonisis, is everything in order?
One of our
I sure hope so.
One of our live stream viewers says Shade's here to be your version of Pinky, which is precisely it. Except with a little more tentativeness, and I don't think Pinky gets nearly as drunk.
Oh, and more when I was going garbly, my shoes are Nikes and they're blue and black. That's my answer.
You were going garbly? Yeah. Did you at least pay him?
I'm glad that knowledge is there, saved for the ages. Nikes, blue and black. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. That's
so,
okay.
Let's go make some cupcakes. No? We have one more question, I believe.
Yes, we do.
Read it slowly so we can stretch out the show a bit.
No, you can read it.
Eat it slowly.
Alright, I'll read it then. Or do you want to read it, Ammonisis?
I'll read it since I can contribute to the last.
Can you stay?
Right.
Well, see how
right
goes.
here?
Yeah, that's the one.
Alright. Okay. Alright, here's the trouble. I have a good friend I know, but only over the internet. The problem is that he thinks that I'm the opposite gender of what I actually am. I fear if I tell him, he won't like me or treat me the same or tell me the same things. I was wondering if I should tell him, and if yes, how, or if I shouldn't. You ask.
Ooh. Oh, you start, Sarf.
You're gonna give yourself room to make your gigantic spiel. Well, I think personally, from my own perspective here, I'm gonna say that it's kind of an easy question to answer, simply because I can think of no better test of friendship really than something like that, because really friendship is about sharing common interests and liking the same things. I know that's probably just the same thing. But it's about having similarities in commonplace and things like that, and being able to communicate. So with something like that, gender shouldn't really matter, especially when it's online, when all you're doing is type talking. If he decided not to be your friend because you opened up about this, then he really wasn't there to be your friend at all. He was simply there because he thought you were the other gender, which isn't much of a friend at all, if you ask me.
Damn straight.
Well, you say that, but what if they're type talking with their boobs?
I think that's a different level of fetish entirely.
Yeah, if they're type talking with their boobs, it'd be like,
and for the sake For the sake of this particular question,
really cold, you can't type.
For the sake of this particular question, I think we can leave that scenario out because it's probably not what's going on.
Well, if it's the typical case, then it's you have a somewhat feminine name and a very wishful other male nerd on the other end. And I don't know whether this is somewhat deliberate, but I get a sort of a hint of insecurity here. I'm sure you guys see the same thing. So I'm going to assume that that's the scenario. And if it's the other way around, it's the same thing, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not even sure why I'm even saying this, but still, it's fun to speculate. But ultimately, you do, Sarf's right, of course. You have to come clean. Really, you have to do it. Because
like a lesson from an Applejack, be honest.
It's only fair and honest. And if it turns out that they're gonna drop you like a ton of bricks, then you have two positives to offset the immediate negativity. First, there's the long-term bonus of, not putting up with someone who was not destined to be your friend for who you are. And secondly, you were honest to them and they didn't, have what they wanted typing with you, with your boobs, thinking about your boobs. But
make sure it's nice and cold so you can hit those keys correctly.
Yeah, but I'm sure you guys have run across plenty of scenarios where you're thinking that you're talking to a girl and they're not, or it's that someone is.
To be quite honest, because of my typing style, and I for one am the type to give everyone just a bunch of internet hugs because I really like stuff. Like 90% of the people I meet think I'm a girl right off the bat.
I get that too sometimes. It happens. And I used to walk the street and get this in IRL because, I was a slightly feminine guy, I guess. And I had long hair for the longest time. So, yeah, it happens. But sometimes people actually put on the female mask on the internet because it's true. Girls get a lot more attention on the internet, whether it's because it's so male dominated or not. It's like, really, if you look at, for example, female artists or something, they get way more attention for what they do because really that ancient chivalry might be more or less dead. It's still true that people tend to bestow more appreciation upon girls for what they do. Almost as if to say, like, well, you did that, even though you had boobs blocking you the entire time, hindering you. But still you managed to produce this picture. Well done. Or it might be more of the, oh, can I look at your boobs when you're done with that picture? Oh, you're awesome. But, so it happens that people present as girls, of course. But I usually find that people tend to be very surprised when they come clean, and I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
I like it. Whatever, man.
Whatever, man. Here we are in the wilds of the internet, looking for a rare, big-breasted female poster. We're looking through the comments. We think we see one. We can judge by the typing style and the over-excessive use of emoticons.
Nope, that's
so
just aiming
at watch as other people around her try to court her in various ways. You see the very blunt person saying, "Hey, show me your boobs."
Tits or GTFO.
But yeah, you have to be a bit honest. I mean, if you want to present as female in a sort of superficial manner on the internet just because that's your particular gender thing, that's okay. But if people are starting to get close to you, I think it's a really good thing to come clean. It's just nice, and then you can add your particular gender identity issue or whatever if you so like, and hopefully people will accept you for who you are. But it's only fair, you know. Not everybody has the same sort of outlook as you do.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said,
people are talking to me. What are they saying? What is this? Oh, you. Sarf wants to move on to the bonus content.
Oh, I do I? I'll just get. Yeah, I think that's about it for questions. Unless anybody has any last minute questions from the live stream, now would be their time to ask them.
You can add the whistle.
That one awkward guy who just sits there. Well, okay then. We can move on, I think.
The minute is over. It didn't even feel like a minute. Well,
how big is that banana you were eating?
That didn't feel like a minute. It felt like 60 seconds at most.
So we're gonna start with this fantastic news article from a month ago, but that's okay because we didn't have time for this stuff the last couple of weeks. So
no,
it
we
was
haven't.
News then. So, and this one is going all the way to China, into Double Land China, and I will translate it in my head brain from French. So let's see how this goes.
Uh-oh.
Okay. This newsreader voice here. In China, 4 men are convicted to some sort of prison sentence, I think it's saying. Yeah, because they were digging up dead women. Lots of them. Like 10. So, going to the graveyards, and they sold the dead bodies and made almost 20,000 euros. To translate that to American monies, that's about $25,000 or something US, and if it's Canadian, it's 2 bottles of maple syrup.
There you go.
It's not that expensive, but
pretty
pretty damn close.
See, it's basically their ghost brides, because the ghosts are sold to the parents of dead single men. So these guys died, but they didn't have a girl. So they put the dead bodies in there next to them so that they have, a post-mortem marriage thing. And that's how it goes. Because if there's a single dead person around, then that brings misfortune upon the family name. So this is how it goes. But this is getting to be a problem. Because all these cemeteries are being, all these corpses are being dug up and sold in the black market, the ghost market. Yeah, this is a big thing in China now.
That's pretty morbid, actually. Yeah, I would think that definitely a huge thing of their cultural honor system would have to fall into place. I'd imagine to a lot of their, especially the older people, they'd just be horrified.
Well, you could preserve your marriage with formaldehyde then.
Yeah, but
just saying.
Do you think they kiss when they're pronounced man and woman?
Ew, gross.
You may kiss the corpse. Oh, I see you're using a little tongue. Oh wait, that's actually just a mag.
That's just a maggot. Let me get out of there.
Well, maybe they're into that. Having a nice maggot threesome.
Oh.
Hey, it's nice.
It tickles when they move.
Oh, this actually, I have to say, this is one of those horrible things that could happen to you. You're dead, and then you're not just getting married without your consent. It's some sort of non-consensual marriage, but they don't even have a face. They don't even have boobs.
If I'm dead, I'm dead. It's like, if I was actually still somewhat conscious in my dead state, then that would be horrifying, but I wouldn't be too bothered.
No. It's more like you're alive now, and then you're thinking about that, and then you realize that once you're dead, other people will still remember you, and they're gonna remember you for the dead woman you married after the fact. How about that? Yeah.
How about that?
If he married with her, the same.
So there's more news here.
I mean, it's kind of romantic.
Thinking of romantic, DNA registration against dog poop. So, this is glorious.
Oh, that's so romantic.
Yes, I thought you'd say that. We're
I will show
losing our PG rate.
I made on your shoes. It is sticky and brown and coiled just like you see in movies. A whole new crap. Anyway, continue.
Okay, so I've heard rumors. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news the past couple of decennia, but the economy is it's really bad. Okay, it's terrible. All around, people are running out of second cars, and they can only afford 3 houses. Terrible business. They can only get a steak once a week. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So here's the thing. This is great news all the way from the beautiful country of the Netherlands. So this is how it's gonna go down. DNA data of dogs are gonna be stored in the police database, and when they find a dog turd violating the streets, they're gonna CSI that shit, literally, and figure out what doggy done did it. What doggy did do.
Who did the doo-doo?
Yes.
Did you do the doo-doo? Or did you do the doo-doo?
This article states, even though dog keepers are required to clean up the poop of their pets, they don't always do that. I wonder why.
Shock!
So, now it's gonna be deducible which dog made the dirt. So, I just wanted to throw this one out there because it just seems like this economy stuff. Yeah, I just say, no comments.
It's DSI, ringworm division.
Oh, no comment? Well, we can move on then.
Okay.
How
finally.
Apparently that one opera guy who just sits in the corner thinks you're cool, Jake.
Yay! I did something! I'm acknowledged! I'm validated!
He thinks you're cool because you're foreign. You think you're British.
He thought you were British.
Start,
you should be insulted.
Fix that.
Well, I could actually talk in my native language now, if you would like. This is the great Dutch accent. It sounds like this. And that's actually what my real accent sounds like. I just put in a radio voice to make it seem like I'm not retarded. But we all know this is not true. So, we have split news from the USA, Africa, and Popeville that, the previous Pope finally got the tribute that he deserved. So we're talking about Nazi Pope, for all you future listeners. Don't remember.
The last one? Or
yeah, the previous one.
Yeah.
The old fogey who mumbled and said things about gay people are bad. Well, there's this artist called Nikki Johnson, made to portray Nazi Pope out of colored condoms, and she explains that this tribute is she came up with the idea when Nazi Pope said in 2009 that condoms are not the solution for the AIDS problem on the continent of Africa. It, in fact, would further spread AIDS because condoms come pre-equipped with AIDS. That's how it works.
How it works.
So that's basically that.
That sounds like something off of Captain Planet.
Captain Planet.
Wind, Wasser, Feuer, Liebe. Mit ihr Vereinigten bin ich Captain Planet. Hilft die Erde.
I warned you.
Sauber werde. Yeah.
It's funny, somebody mentioned it before about Captain Planet. I'm like, well, they can start singing it in German or Dutch or whatever it is. It's all the same.
He's here.
Actually, there is no Dutch Captain Planet. The world is really missing out. But maybe, Sarv, maybe we can get together and make it.
Let's do it. No, that's a terrible idea.
Ammonitis' Skype is messing up again.
Is it?
Yeah, it's always messing up.
You're fired.
This is a very professional episode.
God. Well, at least it was an episode with a guest. I mean, it was meant to be lighthearted and stuff like that, but
so it totally does what it says on the tin.
See you later, Ammonitis.
He'll be back for to answer your final questions. Right?
Sure. Any other news items?
I can create one, right? If you want. Oh, fascinating news on the internet. Fat people in Nepal, police officers, are sent to yoga. That's also fascinating. Justin Bieber wonders if Anne Frank would have been a believer, which is that's the first thing that should be on your mind when you're going to the Anne Frank house is, would they have been a fan of me? That's very relevant.
Incredibly relevant.
There was a Martian found, but that's not really remarkable. It's just a Martian. You know, that happens sometimes. Okay, this guy hanging out in the woods in Maine for 27 years. Just in the woods. That's also nice. This is fantastic.
In the woods for 25 years.
27.
Oh, well, I stand corrected.
But it was in Maine, so yeah, maybe that makes sense. No, yeah, he lived off of stealing from other people, but now he got caught. Oh, that's how it happens. But this news item also has an interesting quote here. The last time he spoke to another person was in 1990. 1990, not 1990. It's not there yet. People in the future expect 1990. I misspoke. It was not 1990. He said the famous word "hi" against a passerby. So this is very compelling news.
Oh wait, hold on. I actually have one. Someone from our live stream gave us in here. Basically, the gist of it, a teenager, 18 years old, in MMO game, presumably RuneScape, that's what the article suggests, said that he was going to shoot up his school tomorrow. That was the exact line in RuneScape in that little chat was, I'm going to shoot up my school tomorrow. So somebody freaked out, phoned the police, ended up going to jail, and got out on $50,000 bail. But just to kind of put relevant to it, like, because it shows that on the internet you're not, for one thing, you're not as free as you think you are, and you're definitely not completely hidden or secretive, because if they want to find you on the internet, they can. I've seen an article somewhere where it said that Google and YouTube willingly give away their information and take away videos and stuff like that if the government asks for them without a warrant. They willingly give it out. In the last year, Google has given to the U.S. alone 3,500 files, I guess, on people. But to go more in depth on this particular article, it does say that the transcript in court provided the local police, revealing that Fongillo also made anti-Semitic comments and drew a Nazi symbol in game. When another player referred to him as a Jew killer, he is alleged to have responded, "if only." Further digging revealed that he previously talked about shooting a squirrel with a 12-gauge shotgun. So, according to Fongillo's lawyer, the words were a harmless jest, and it cost him $50,000. Well, good. What a punk. Like, I think sometimes, in a way, it's really bad, because, if something he only said online, you're supposed to have freedom of speech and stuff like that. It's kind of cruel that he had to pay $50,000 so that something he's, like, on the repercussions of something he said. But
they don't always appreciate your sense of humor. No, but what this actually tells me, it's not so much like, oh, a big brother is watching you and all that, because you should know that, because if you're in a public chat room, people are are paying attention to saying. And they're scanning for that.
People are always paying attention.
Oh, come on. I didn't even know you were back in here. Anyways, proceed.
What this really tells me is that, again, American government is so hyper-focused and hyper-paranoid that they cannot discern whether someone is clearly a braggart idiot or trying to be quote-unquote funny from being a genuine conspirator, because a genuine conspirator doesn't go to an MMO chat room, lol, gonna shoot up every Jew, raffle, and then graffiti a swastika.
Love the German accent. But I think at the same time, we talked about
this.
We talked about this a few episodes ago when it had to do with that one Greek football player who made the Nazi salute without realizing it. Sometimes you have to be aware of your actions and the consequences and stuff like that. Because, honestly, when you say things, they can have consequences, and that's probably one of the biggest downfalls of this generation, is that people believe that they can say whatever they want online, and most of the time they can. You can say anything you want without repercussion. And as much as it's bad to pin someone down and charge $50,000 for something that they just said haphazardly in RuneScape, I mean, if you're honestly serious, you're not going to do that.
I think you should know your audience. See, if I'm talking with a friend, and I have a friend, I mean, we make Nazi jokes all the time because that's the sort of humor we have, and because it's so horribly bad, it just seems funny. We're taking it back because, honestly, this is a pretty horrible chapter in modern history, and I think that you really take some of the power out of that by completely turning Hitler into a joke. If you just turn him into a joke, but you should know your audience, really. But being accountable for something, for being an idiot, nah, I'm not buying it. I think that's really going against what the United States is founded on, which is basically slavery and what was it? Sorry. Right, separation from the church. Oh, right. Wait a minute. They did a 180 on everything, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to go and say any anti-American sentimentalism here, because I have a lot of things to say in that regards that I wouldn't. The FBI is going to hunt me down, man. Funny story. A friend of mine has a new router in his house. He got a couple weeks ago, and router in terms of an internet. He got like a modem router thing. But you can name the network, and he named it FBI Surveillance Band. Of course, we don't have the FBI in Canada, and not only that, he spelled it wrong. So I knew it right away. But apparently he caught his dad with that because he was in the computer. Like, he looked in the computer, and his dad was like up against the blinds, looking out. He's like, "Have you seen any strange bands around here?"
I'm a nice.
Someone in the live stream would like to inform you, Shade, that your voice is sexy.
Dear.
Oh dear, he said. Oh dear.
I'm so flustered. But Amonitis, you are the token American. You're the minority here. And your country's government is being a shit. Your professional opinion, please.
Nothing new.
It may be being a shit, but it's not that bad. At least not from where I'm here.
$50,000 and throwing someone in jail.
Well, then don't get thrown in jail. It's not that hard.
That's quite easy.
So your professional opinion is beat up the cops trying to arrest you, and then try to keep racing for that hidden get out of jail free card that's hidden somewhere in a tank station. Okay, right.
My professional opinion is just don't be a dick, period. You go through life, not being a dick. You're doing good.
I think life is easier when you, and I'm quoting Shade on this actually, when you don't take yourself seriously.
Jesus says don't be a dick.
Jesus says don't be a dick. That is the Bible for you, quote unquote. Jesus says don't be a dick.
but what you say is completely true, but it would be nice if the government set a nice example. Rather than saying thou shalt not, it should be more focused on encouraging not being a dick rather than punishing people who are just being...
I agree completely, man. I agree completely. It's just that I really don't care about government issues that much. It's too much work and it takes the focus away from just enjoying life. So I really don't know that much about what's going on as far as government's concerned in the world. I just try to be a good person.
And you're doing a great job. Yay!
We can throw one more article in here. Another one from a viewer, basically in a Taiwanese internet cafe where a bunch of gamers and stuff like that were doing their thing, and a man was stabbed while everybody was playing their game. And what's different about this is not the fact that he was stabbed, but the fact that nobody did anything. The person directly next to him kept playing her game, even though she got spattered in blood, just kept playing her game.
Well, what they should have done is when somebody tries to knife you, you have to walk away and use the pistol on them. Don't try to get out the knife too.
This is actually strikingly similar.
Using a knife on you, and they're still using the knife on you. I'd rather you use the knife. I mean, you're right there in close combat.
This is striking.
And trying to get away with just get your hurt, man.
Mistake. There's no honor here in love and warfare. You just use the pistol. It costs 2 bullets to shoot him in the head.
What I'm saying is, if you can't get its aim straight, then it's probably more dangerous to try to get away from him and shoot him with a pistol. It'd be safer just to pull out a knife of your own and get him yourself. You're within the proximity already, and trying to pull out a pistol is not going to help you that much in this situation.
Well, you have to consider that if they are going to come at you with a knife, it either means they are out of ammunition, or
if they're coming at you with a knife and you physically see them coming at you and they're beyond 5 feet, then yes, you can pull out a gun. But if they're within 5 feet, or if they're already stabbing you or trying to stab you, pull out the knife and disarm them.
Excuse me. Let me talk, please.
This is my area of expertise here. Let me talk.
Shut up. Of course, you're American. Weapons are going to be
coming at you with a knife. It could also be an elitist bastard. And
anyways,
at that point, they deserve it. They have it coming to them.
If I might interject into something a little more serious.
What do you want to be effective? Do you want to be effective in the fight? If they're already within 5 feet of you, or they're actually stabbing you, pull out a knife of your own and use some sort of hand technique to disarm them. Unless if they're beyond 5 feet of you and they're trying to come at you, then you can use a gun on them.
The fact remains that someone was still stabbed in a room full of people and nobody did anything. And I find this actually strikingly similar. If anybody remembers, a few years ago there was a case where a little girl was hit by a motorcyclist or something like that in China. And all these bystanders, all these vehicles just kept on going, and this little girl that just got run over, practically run over.
That's called the bystander.
She stood there for a couple hours.
Everyone around them expects someone else to do the job.
Well, no,
that way they don't get personally involved in it.
Some of these, it's a different mentality because China is a communist country. Now, I don't know about Taiwan.
No, it's not.
It isn't. But the thing with China being a communist country, people...
It's not.
China is.
No.
Yeah, it is.
It's only a name. It's actually just a dictatorship.
Okay. It still has that impact on the citizens where they don't act out in the same way towards other people like you would in one of these Western nations.
This happens everywhere, Sarf.
But in the same way, like this news story actually created a lot of waves because a lot of people were going, well, what's going on? And then a few months later, there was a bus full of kids that's supposed to fit like 10 children. It was cram packed full of 60 children. And they all died because it crashed.
It's a level of disconnection that you get in when a society gets as big as it does. And you see this everywhere, but there are slight differences. For example, in America, it's like people don't want to get involved usually because they might get sued. If they kick the person who's trying to kill someone, they might get sued by the person who they kicked because it wasn't just warranted. You just don't kick somebody with a knife. It's just not fair.
We're back on this knife topic.
Hold on. I think that we're reading too much into the, that part. I'm saying it's just basic group psychology. When you're in a large group like that, it's actually a bystander effect. When something bad's happening, everyone else expects someone else to do the job, so it ends up that no one's doing anything. So when someone gets stabbed, yeah, it's a bad thing, and everyone probably recognizes that bad thing, but they assume someone else is calling 911. Same thing with that one case of that lady who got murdered. Everyone thought that someone else was going to call. That's why no one called and no one did anything about the murder. It's basic group psychology.
That might be true, but it's really fueled by a level of emotional disconnection because it wasn't always like this.
And I think in
it's been always like that. It's just that we haven't had that much news about it.
In a country like China, where it's a dictatorship and they have such a strong military thing, I think they're very much the people have
they're waiting for the soldiers?
Well, no.
Where are the soldiers?
They've learned to become disconnected and just kind of avoid all this stuff that's going on around them, and I think that's why it impacted a lot of people in Western society here were looking at us as it was such a crazy thing, but in reality, these people, they've just really learned not to do anything because they're maybe afraid
that part is that
desensitized because
that part is that
you don't involve yourself and then you don't have to worry about it, and that's what happens.
That's definitely very culturally influenced. Like,
I think
I
so
remember
too,
watching the Vlog Brothers episode thing earlier where they were talking about a guy who escaped from like a North Korean camp and he like wrote a book about it. Apparently it was like the right thing to do and he thought it was the right thing to do when his like mom and his sister were trying to talk about escaping and he ratted them out. It wasn't necessarily bad from his point of view to do that, but even though we here in America, Canada, and Europe would say that's a bad thing to do, you just grow up and learn that some of these things are right to do, even though everyone else thinks it's fucking crazy. So I can understand what you're talking about there, Star. You just learn to kind of ignore that kind of thing because you see it happening.
Yeah, you see it happen so much, and it's just desensitization, and you learn to just kind of walk away from it because you don't want to involve yourself.
And you might not want to be a dissident, you know. So if you don't want to end up in the Ministry of Truth, Ministry of Love, sorry, then you try to stay out of trouble and don't be too weird. But that's a different subject, I guess. It happens almost everywhere. Maybe not on Antarctica that much. Not a lot of group beatings in Antarctica.
I don't know. I saw this one penguin get brutally beaten by a bunch of penguins. And the other penguins just said, nah, I didn't see anything.
Were the penguins communists? They just kind of like let it happen.
Yes, the penguins were communists. And on the other side of the continent, they were Nazis. True story.
Oh, dear.
It's actually happened? Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
the more you know.
It all happened.
You guys are educating me today.
You're welcome.
You've been educated.
More censure. Oh, this is amazing, high quality radio, isn't it?
Well, we were going for a lighthearted episode, and that's what we had. We have no guests this week, no nothing like that, because we just kind of wanted to take things lightly, which I'm glad for.
Last call for the chat to ask us a question. Try to make it count. In the meantime, we're gonna throw out some contact info. So, where do people go if they want to ask us stuff or say stuff to us?
Well, you can email us at crusadersadvice@gmail.com. You can go to my personal blog, which is ask-advice and blog.tumblr.com.
You can also go to Google and try to find it through Google, but that's who does that nowadays? That's just not cool.
Yeah, what the hell is Google?
Like we said,
that type of food?
Okay, we got one question here.
All right.
On our final thing. Person asked, how did you find/join the pony fandom? And I want to hear Shade actually answer this one first, being the oldest of us.
Oh my goodness! Let me just recall. Back in the old days, like 3 years ago. Well, actually, I'm just drawing animal people and stuff like that. So yeah, I saw people getting into the ponies like halfway into season 1. And I thought, well, this actually looks pretty cool, and, you know, I used to watch ponies in the old days, you know. So, I thought I'd give it a go, started from the start, and thought, well, this stuff is pretty amazing. I'm gonna just keep watching this. And then, I started drawing hippos. And after I drew hippos, I thought, now I'm drawing ponies. And
to put that into context, if any of you tour around Shade's blog, his really really old pony art, he makes very good art, but it kind of looks like a hippo, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush on that. It looked like a hippo, but you know what? Everybody starts somewhere. Hippo ponies.
That's how Hasbro started. I mean, if you look at the first generation,
they're so overweight, so overweight.
They're hippos.
Yeah.
My little fatty, ha ha ha.
My little hippo. Oh no, I used to wonder what hippopotamus would be.
My little hippo.
I'm like finishing that. No. So, as far as the community is concerned, I'm not actually involved in the community that much. I just post on my little corners of the internet and see what happens.
Well, in many ways, you're all over your blogs and stuff like that. That's in many ways, and I think you're more involved in the community than what you'd like to be or believe you would be.
Oh, I don't really mind.
You're as involved as really
I don't go like, I'm not a brony, I'm just blah blah blah. I'm not one of those jerks.
That's a topic of its own, and I've seen that a lot.
Yeah,
so.
I'm just saying I don't check out
hints,
the forums
upcoming episode
and stuff like that. I don't submit stuff to like other blogs or something to further my brony agenda. So I'm not really involved in much. Well, I guess I'm involved. I am involved now because I'm talking with you guys on the show and people are listening. That's like 7 people listening into this stuff, and so I'm completely part of the community now. I can't avoid it. It's catching up with me. Help!
It has its way of finding you. Yes.
So how about you then?
Well, me personally, it's actually been a year, a couple of weeks ago. I started with spring break last year. But a close friend of mine who was actually tuned in at the beginning of the live stream before his computer unfortunately crashed. But he was into it way before I was, and that was always his type of thing, and it was weird, and I don't think I thought anything of it at the time. And then there was a small group of people at my school that had come in, and these were very normal people. Like, these weren't really your stereotypical what the society and the media would like to believe were bronies, but these were pretty cool people that I had actually already been kind of hanging out with as it was, and then they started getting into it, and it was, I think it was in spring break, and I couldn't tell you what I was thinking at the time. But I think it started with a few PMV videos that I had actually. If you don't know what those are, that's when people mash songs over these little clips, and then eventually I stumbled across one of this one video that had like all the good funny moments, and I liked it a lot. And I don't know why I kept watching these. There was just clips of the shows, not the actual whole thing. So I figured I'd actually find a place to get that, to get actual episodes, and I started with this one website, what was it called? Watch Cartoon Online or something like that, and in the spring break I watched almost the entire season, and I hid it most of the time, and I was pretty secretive about it, and I was always listening with headphones and stuff like that, but I loved it, man. From the beginning, I loved it. I still hate the first 2 episodes. I'm gonna be honest, I hate the first 2 episodes. But the show itself, I love it. And then I started getting involved in the community and stuff like that, and I think more than the show, I absolutely love the community, and I love being involved in the community and what I do and stuff like that. All these friends I've made, it's incredible. It really is. I have people on my Skype from the Netherlands, Mr. Shade. I have probably lots of people from the US, obviously. I have someone from Mexico, someone from Brazil, someone from Puerto Rico, someone from the Philippines, someone from South Africa.
Are you just selecting these people?
And
is this how it is?
Well, no, that's not just you stumble across these people like, oh look, this is from, and I think there was a couple other ones, and lots of people from all over Europe. And it's an incredible experience, honestly. All these people that you meet, I've loved every minute of it, and I hope that the fandom definitely continues where it's at. I hope that
people who can appreciate such a positive show, usually pretty positive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
you kind of have to. What I found if you take yourself super serious,
there's all sorts of people from the perspective, because there's people that like that drama for some reason, that have a lot of that, and I generally avoid that type of thing. There's people that have...
Oh,
I found many people,
gotcha.
Yeah. There's people that are very, very depressed, and they come to the fandom because they know there's people there that just genuinely care, and I've met all sorts of people. I've surrounded myself with a lot of those people. I think one of the biggest things that draws people to the fandom is just how much it's happening right now, and there's all these people that are finding so much of this success. If you think to people like Mando Pony, all these other artists and stuff like that, who have just become incredibly successful, and even in the industry and stuff like that, the industry has caught on to what's going on, and then they've hired all these people. Some people have record deals, some people already work on the show itself, some people have deals with other places, and there's... I Bleeding Man Drop said himself, with the fit community, there's actual people with like doctorates in writing degrees and stuff like that he can talk to. You can't find that in any other fandom. These people that are that professional, that are
sure you can, but
just not to the
but
same
not
degree.
in such not in such variety, not in such accessibility. And it's just I don't want to say in many ways the fandom has captured my heart, and I love everything about it. Now I want to clarify. The reason I do this podcast is not because I said a lot of people find success. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm not doing it for success and stuff like that. Just to clarify that.
Yeah, well, to jump on that for a little bit, more importantly than some people finding success or whatnot, if it's encouraging someone, and I see that a lot in the pony community, to actually develop a skill that they didn't have the motivation to develop before. That's the really powerful thing. That's success right there.
Of course.
And I don't care if that's acknowledged by everybody outside of the community or not.
A year and a half ago, this podcast would have been completely out of my zone of wanting to do it all. I never would have even thought of it. But you know what? I absolutely love what I'm doing here. I do.
Aww.
That's so sweet, man.
Tell the story.
Well, the day was February 26, 2011. I remember that day specifically because that's when I first found ponies. It was actually on one of my normal furry websites. Yes, I'm a furry, deal with it. And I know, it's shocking. I see all these pictures.
I'm the only one.
And yes, you are.
I'm the only one who's not. No judging. You know what? If there's one thing,
out me.
If there's one,
just out of me. What are you doing?
If there's one thing that this fandom has taught me, it's not to judge. And you know what? I've accepted furries more than anything. Beforehand, I didn't really get it, but you know what? Now I do.
Yeah, but
anyway, I was talking.
Continue.
Anyways, so I look it up and I see it's My Little Pony. I'm like, oh, what the heck is this? Why is it everywhere? Anyway, so I go to Know Your Meme page and I watched the first episode and, I was kind of tentative. I was like, alright. I'm so glad it was a 2-part thing because I watched the second part for closure and that actually kind of drew me in. So I was like, alright, that wasn't too bad. So, I find my way onto 4chan and at the time I wasn't too turned off by it. I was a 4chaner before. Not really, the asshole kind, but
you're special.
Still went on there, and I go on there, and this was the day that they had their epic pony banning. And I try to start a thread, and all of a sudden I get a 14-day ban. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So then I scour the internet and I find PonyChan, and it was so amazing because I go there and all these people are like the exact opposite of what I expected from a Chan website. They were all very nice, they were kind, and they just genuinely existed.
That's something that caught me completely. Sorry, go ahead.
And through the next couple of years, I swear it was like, finding utopia. I mean, people often blame me for having rose-colored glasses, but I have threads. I have entire threads and pictures saved from way back then. I remember so many people and a lot of beautiful, wonderful things, wonderful people having things happening all the time. That site and those people made me genuinely proud to be a brony. I was, dead serious from there on out that out of anything I'd be happy to call myself a brony, and from there on I did. like a month or so ago, I decided to take a hiatus for you know artistic reasons, and I needed to do schoolwork. And I think I kind of transcended to another step because I found my way to this one thing called Banter, which is fronted by Lee Tokar, who voiced Snitch from when I was on. And through there, I actually
serpent.
And the sea serpent, I can't forget that. And through there, I met a bunch of other people like Snap Pie and Black Griffin and Dusty Cat, and they're all really nice, wonderful people and fantastic voice actors. I'm kind of jealous of some of them. But it's like Scarf said before, a lot of people are finding their kind of niche within the community, going for things that they never would before. And yeah, I think if I never found this community, I don't think I'd be where I am today, trying to do, these awesome things with my life and talking on a podcast with a couple of people that I consider some of my greatest friends.
I think, going off of what you just said, when I first saw Pony-chan, that was, it definitely took me by surprise, exactly, like the attitude that was there, because I expected, from what I've seen on the internet, just like a 4chan type thing. I before then didn't really have a community that I fit in with, people that I talk to often. And since coming out of my kind of emo phase in my teenage years, I had really wanted to make sort of a difference to at least a few people. And some of the forums, I'm still active on one of the forums that I was back then, and one of them it's called Teen Spot, and it's probably the worst forum I've ever been on because everybody's pregnant and 14 and a slut. This is an exaggeration. If I could,
that's what they're saying.
My quote that a lot of people have in their signatures right now is, if I had a nickel for every time some 14-year-old girl came here and blamed every guy for what some asshole did to her, I'd be rich. But that was where I started out, and obviously I didn't do a lot because there wasn't a lot that could be done. All the people were complaining about it was complaining about simple teenage things that I just thought. It wears you out saying the same thing again and again and again and again and again, day after day after day after day, and it's not something that they even pay attention to, and often gets ignored and stuff like that. But the mods eventually started hating me, because if there's one thing that I did often there, it was stand up for people that were posting threads saying that they were like suicidal and stuff like that, and they just wanted to end it. And the people would post in there, and they would make these like long comments about how much they were attention whores and stuff like that. And I would post there, and I would stand up for these people until the mods actually had to. This happened 3 or 4 times. The mods closed down a thread. Now in this site, these mods never do anything, ever. I've only ever seen 3 threads in the 3 years I've been there been closed, and they've all been because of me. But when I started
thread stopper,
when I started in Pony-chan, when I first saw it, I think it took me by surprise, like largely, because it was just the community that I really wanted to find that I hadn't been able to find, and it was home to me. And I made my home in Gala, and then they destroyed it and uprooted it, and haven't really found much of a mainstay since. But
the stars have aligned. What is this? People being nice on the internet?
But it was,
I know,
it was a great place.
So weird, so foreign, so crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, just the kindness, and I think the first person I ever looked up to, the first person I saw there that I admired immensely was definitely Mooney. He was one of the first that I had contact with, and I eventually managed to talk to him, and he was probably the first quote-unquote famous person I ever talked to, but he's not that famous. Everybody treats him as a celebrity.
Everybody's famous.
He's a truly wonderful person, like an absolute genuine guy. A lot of people think he's faking it, but he isn't exactly how.
Like, we had him on our show that one time, and that was pretty good. He's an amazing singer, and he's a pretty incredible person. And I think one of the greatest things that I have found is through the fandom is just how many friends that just amazing people that have become really, really close friends.
Not to make this pet each other cast episode, but I'm sure that people look up to you too and think that you're awesome because you're genuinely nice, and that's what gets you recognized. Doesn't matter how many record deals you have.
Personality is sometimes what people recognize and appreciate, and just being genuine and sincere is what a lot of people they respect.
Sark, I genuinely do respect you because of those many times that we've chatted, and I saw you make text while and post in the chan before. I truly love people that can really do that.
Those were some of not my greater days. Actually, I would admit those days on PonyChan because I tend to lose my temper. At that time I would lose my temper very quickly.
I understand. I did the same thing. I mean, a lot of people knew me as a white knight, and I somewhat took the persona of a knight as myself. I did go a little crazy, to be honest.
I respect the fact that you were pretty well known just for how I've seen people mention you on 4chan, I've seen people mention you on MLP-chan, and of course PonyChan. You are infamous for...
that warms my heart.
I'm getting a little emotional, guys. Can I touch your boobs?
That's not how this works here. I'm sorry. Dinner and a movie first.
Sure, it might be a little cold.
Dinner and a movie first. I think we should.
You just have to give me a pop start. I'll be fine.
Let's wrap this up here unless anybody has any other questions or anything like that won't make me talk for another 20 minutes. But it wasn't too bad, not as long as I thought it was, because I did ramble quite a bit.
Well, we could end on a positive note involving boobs.
It didn't last half an hour. Excuse me, it lasted 18 minutes and 27 seconds. Don't argue with me. So we've given
final note of wisdom from Emmonisis.
I, for one, am a fan of boobs.
Have a nice day. Well, thanks for listening.